agreement that the toughest schedule in the league I saw was the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Oh, it's really hard.
Okay, so you start. You have better rosters than these teams, but they load them up at Atlanta, at Denver, at Indy, and Harbaugh. That's a rough start. I mean, again, you have better rosters than Atlanta, Denver, the Chargers, and Indy. 3 of the 4 on the road, and you come out of that road streak with Dallas, 2 weeks later, Aaron Rodgers. Like, that's rough. And did you see the last 6 quarterbacks Pittsburgh faces? Burrow, Deshaun Watson, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, and Burrow. Like,
good luck.
Mike Tomlin is going to be on a network broadcasting. And by the way, I predict he'll be great. I've talked to 2 network execs who would hire Mike Tomlin tomorrow.
Are you shorting the Steelers this year?
I am shorting them. I mean, did you have to put, at the end of the year, the last 3 quarterbacks, Lamar, Mahomes, and Burrow, in the last month?
Did you see the story, though, about Burrow's hand surgery, the percentage of it keeping? You know, most surgeries are 90 to 95%. That wrist hand surgery is like 70 to 75% success rate. And then, no matter how well it goes, there's basically guaranteed inflammation. It's a little trickier than just your ACL or your broken leg. I do think that's something to keep a heavy eye on. Now, if he plays 17 games, I think we'd all acknowledge they're going to be one of the better teams in the NFL. But if that thing crops up where it is, I mean, it would be a major problem. I thought the moment that they signed Russ, before we even knew their schedule or who they were playing, one, they're not financially invested in him at all, right? They're paying him about $1 million. Or even Denver last year, let's say hypothetically Sean Payton was out on him by October 1st. Financially, he had to see if he could make it work, and then the leash there is not going to be long. They have no draft capital invested. They have nothing invested. And they do have another guy on a 1-year contract who might not be good either, but at least this physically brings a lot more to the table. And we saw Arthur Smith, win with Ryan Tannehill and Marcus Mariota. So it's like, I just don't think this guy's getting a long leash. He's not going to be dinking and dunking, and they're 1-3, and he gets to keep his job.
No,
so
I looked
the
at
moment you move teams and they're not paying you anything, he better play well and they better have success, or he will go to the pine.
I looked at Pittsburgh today, and I thought, I know Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season. That last 6-game stretch, you'll have the second-best quarterback in all of those games. All of them. One of the things I always look at is how many great quarterbacks do you face. The Jets don't face a lot of great quarterbacks. But again, they have 7 standalone games, 6 night games, 5 short weeks, an international game. So the Jets' schedule is pretty easy. The NFL didn't do them any favors with nights, standalones, international. I look at Pittsburgh, and there's just no way. If the Jets have the easiest schedule in terms of facing elite quarterbacks, the Steelers got hosed. That last month and a half, they'll be underdogs potentially in all those games.
Well, I mean, if everyone's healthy, they easily could lose to the Ravens twice. I mean, the Bengals, the Eagles, the Chiefs. It's just, that's really, really brutal. And let's face it, by that time, you're not 100%. You're going to have some injuries. They've kind of been at a similar spot the last several years. They usually don't have some huge margin for error, right? They don't start the seasons 9-3, but they've been hovering around 500 right till the bitter end these last couple of years. So I understand what they did. I would have done what their moves at quarterback, getting rid of Kenny Pickett, getting rid of the group they had for Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. But just because those guys are much more famous doesn't mean they're going to be much more effective. And I'm not a Deshaun Watson guy, but obviously if Lamar is healthy and Joe Burrow is healthy, the gap between Russell Wilson, Justin Fields' quarterback room is a mile long.